Imagine a marketplace where someone can buy access to a major enterprise, rent a ready-made ransomware operation, outsource money laundering, and get customer support when things go wrong. That is the reality of modern cybercrime as a service, or CAAS.
This Wednesday headline feature from Bare Metal Cyber magazine, developed by Bare Metal Cyber, looks at that world as an economy, not just as a series of scary headlines. The goal is to help security and technology leaders understand the system behind the attacks that appear in dashboards, incident reports, and board briefings.
For years, many people thought about cybercrime in terms of gifted lone wolves or small crews running custom campaigns. They wrote their own malware, managed their own infrastructure, and handled their own cash-out. That world still exists, but it has been overshadowed by something more organized.
Over the last decade, high profits, fragmented law enforcement, and easy access to infrastructure have pushed cybercrime towards specialization and scale. From a distance, it now looks less like a set of isolated gangs and more like a franchise economy, with recognizable roles, brands, services, and revenue streams.
That evolution matters because it changes the threat. When attackers operate like a franchise, taking down one storefront does not collapse the business. Another appears, sometimes with the same suppliers, behind a new name. Services are rebranded, reskinned, and relaunched, but the economic rails underneath remain familiar. Understanding CAAS as a supply chain gives leaders a more strategic way to respond. Instead of only reacting to the latest malware or group name, you can ask how to raise costs, add friction, and make criminal service delivery harder to scale against your industry. The shift from lone wolf to franchise began when criminals realized there was serious money at each stage of the attack lifecycle. Tool authors found they could earn more by selling or renting kits than by running every campaign themselves. Infrastructure specialists turned bulletproof hosting and traffic distribution into services. Ransomware operators refined their playbooks and created ransomware as a service, or RAS, with portals, documentation, and support. That created room for specialization. Some people write code, some run infrastructure, some sell access, some deploy ransomware, some negotiate payments, some launder the proceeds. The whole system becomes modular. That modularity is what makes it resilient. A small group of brand owners may maintain the core platform, the malware, control panels, update pipelines, and affiliate systems. Affiliates handle the fieldwork, including phishing, target selection, payload deployment, and ransom negotiation. Initial access brokers sell footholds into real organizations, such as valid credentials, vulnerable remote services, cloud access, or administrative accounts. Money launderers and cash-out specialists handle the process of turning stolen value into usable funds. Swap out an affiliate or broker, and the franchise keeps running. That is why many takedowns look impressive, but the problem reappears months later under a different label. If you strip away the brand names, the CAS ecosystem looks like a supply chain built for flexibility and deniability. At one end are developers and tool authors. Their job is to ship working code that evades defenses. They monitor performance, take feedback from operators, and push updates when detection improves. In a different world, they might be building commercial software. In this world, their roadmap is driven by stealth, evasion, infection rates, payout ratios, and how long they can stay ahead of defenders. Next come infrastructure and access providers. Bulletproof hosting firms and traffic distribution networks provide the logistics layer. They offer fast setup, rotation, and protection from takedowns. Initial access brokers sit beside them, harvesting and packaging footholds into organizations by sector, region, or company size. A mid-tier affiliate who could never break into a major manufacturer alone can buy access from a broker. Often, the most important exploit in a campaign is not a new vulnerability. It is a standing relationship between a broker and an operator. At the other end are the operators and monetizers. Affiliates assemble the pieces they have purchased: access, tooling, infrastructure, and playbooks. They steal data, deploy ransomware, run business email compromise, or conduct other campaigns. Then money movement specialists handle cryptocurrency swaps, account layering, mule networks, and cash out. Each role sees only part of the bigger picture. Each can also be replaced if it becomes too noisy or unreliable. That compartmentalization makes law enforcement wins important, but rarely decisive on their own. For leaders, mapping this chain is not academic. It helps you see where your organization intersects the criminal economy. Your employees' credentials, your suppliers' access paths, your cloud tenants, your financial relationships, and your exposed services are all touchpoints. When you see CAS as a supply chain, you can ask better questions. Which parts of your environment are most attractive to access brokers? Which patterns appear repeatedly in your incidents? Which partners may hold signals you are not using? Once you see the supply chain, the go-to-market playbooks start to look familiar. Many CAAS brands operate with affiliate programs, portals, enrollment processes, revenue calculators, and marketing copy. Underground forums and encrypted channels function like review platforms. Criminal customers compare providers based on expected return, ease of use, support quality, reliability, and update speed. From their perspective, choosing a CAAS provider is a business decision. Service quality is a competitive weapon. CAS operators lower the skill bar by providing playbooks, pre-built phishing kits, dashboards, configuration tools, and support. They collect feedback from affiliates and tune their platforms, much like a commercial software provider would tune a cloud service. The more standardized and polished the workflow becomes, the easier it is for new affiliates to start and for experienced affiliates to switch brands without losing productivity. That is the logic of franchising. Make the playbook simple and repeatable enough that many people can run it. This is also where criminal service expectations matter. These may not be formal contracts, but affiliates expect uptime for command and control infrastructure, timely support when campaigns break, and reliable builds for high-value targets. Providers that fail lose reputation. Providers that deliver earn loyalty and attract better affiliates. That means your organization is often facing campaigns built on platforms that have been refined by real performance pressure. This is far from amateur hour. The problem is that much of our defensive machinery still focuses on group names and individual campaigns. Board decks highlight notorious gangs. Threat reports are organized by actor labels and malware families. Metrics celebrate how many indicators of compromise were blocked. None of that is useless, but it can keep attention fixed on the visible output instead of the system producing it. When a group rebrands, an affiliate changes providers, or a toolkit gets a new name, the story resets, but the underlying supply chain may barely change. Internal structures can make this worse. The Security Operations Center owns detection rules and incident queues. Threat intelligence teams own actor profiles and indicator feeds. Legal, fraud, and abuse teams own relationships with banks, regulators, and platform providers. Each function sees a slice of the CAA ecosystem, but few organizations are built to stitch those slices into an economic map leadership can act on. The result is that teams get very good at fighting today's fire, but rarely get the time or mandate to trace those fires back to the same fuel sources. The enemy becomes today's incident, not the franchise economy that will produce tomorrow's. This framing also affects investment.
Budgets often go toward tools that detect the latest technique or close cases faster. Those are useful, but they do not necessarily raise operating costs for the criminal ecosystem. An organization can have strong detection and response while doing little to degrade the CAAS marketplace that keeps refreshing the threat. To move the needle, leaders need to think about hitting margin, not just malware. Every role in the CAS chain operates on a basic calculation: expected payout minus cost, friction, and risk. Your controls already affect that calculation. Shorter dwell time reduces an affiliate's ability to monetize access. Segmentation limits blast radius. Better containment makes the attack less profitable. But you can also influence the economics before and after intrusion. Strong identity controls reduce the value of stolen credentials. Faster revocation makes secrets age quickly. Better financial anomaly detection makes cash out harder. High-quality reporting to banks, cloud providers, regulators, and law enforcement forces the ecosystem to spend more time dodging scrutiny and less time running playbooks. Architecture choices become economic levers when viewed this way. A segmented, observable environment is not only more secure, it is also a worse product for access brokers to resell. If footholds in your environment lead to partial access, noisy escalation, and rapid eviction, brokers lose reputation and may shift focus elsewhere. Basic hygiene also matters. Closing orphaned accounts, removing unused access paths, improving key management, and monitoring administrative activity all reduce the inventory of footholds that can be packaged and sold. You are making your organization a volatile asset from the attacker's point of view, and that is exactly what you want. Beyond your own perimeter, margin pressure depends on collaboration. Working with financial partners to strengthen Know Your Customer controls, participating in sector-level fraud and abuse sharing, and supporting law enforcement with timely evidence all raise the cost of doing business for CAAS operators. When organizations in the same sector share information about recurring infrastructure, cash-out patterns, and broker behavior through trusted channels, they create a feedback loop criminals have to work around. Criminals can adapt, but every adaptation consumes time, money, and attention. An anti-franchise strategy begins by changing what you ask your teams to show you. Instead of only asking how many incidents were closed, ask which recurring services appear behind your top threats, which access broker patterns show up again and again, which infrastructure providers keep appearing across unrelated incidents, which mule patterns or cash-out routes recur in your fraud data. Give threat intelligence a mandate to build a working ecosystem map, not just a polished slide. That map should shape where you direct resources. Internal alignment matters too. Incident response teams can tune workflows to capture the evidence that banks, cloud providers, regulators, and investigators need: timelines, account identifiers, infrastructure fingerprints, payment flows, and technical artifacts. Legal and compliance can pre-clear sharing pathways so the organization is not improvising approvals during an incident. Procurement and cloud governance can consider abuse response and resilience when selecting vendors. Together, these moves turn your organization into a reliable signal generator about CAAS behavior, not just a consumer of threat data. The final step is explaining this clearly to boards and executive peers. The anti-franchise idea is not charity, it is about managing systemic risk to your business and your sector. By helping degrade the quality and reliability of the services adversaries depend on, you reduce long-term exposure, not just this quarter's incident count. Coordinated reporting, shared detection playbooks, support for takedowns, and collaboration with banks and cloud providers are not side projects.
They are strategic pressure points on the threat economy.
At its core, this story is about shifting from seeing cybercrime as a blur of unrelated gangs to seeing it as an economy with roles, incentives, dependencies, and margins. CAAS grew because conditions were favorable: high reward, low coordination among defenders, and plentiful infrastructure.
Once you see the system, it becomes harder to be satisfied with responses that never reach beyond the visible symptoms.
For leaders, the mental shift is from "how do we stop this group" to "how do we make this franchise a worse business?" That shift changes how you see architecture, incident response, threat intelligence, and partnerships. A segmented environment becomes a way to damage someone else's revenue model. Fast, well-instrumented incident handling becomes a way to spoil the product access brokers are trying to sell. Collaboration with banks, cloud providers, and law enforcement becomes a way to inject friction into the cash-out layer CAAS depends on.
Each of those actions becomes a lever on the adversary's profit and loss, not just a line item in your own budget.
A practical place to begin is simple. Ask your teams where your organization is unintentionally a good customer for the CAAS supply chain today. Are your credentials easy to resell? Are your vendors attractive entry points? Are your cloud environments hard to observe? Are your incident lessons staying trapped inside your own walls?
Then ask what it would take to ruin that relationship for good.
Over the coming years, leaders who understand the franchise economy behind cybercrime will be better positioned to explain which efforts matter and why. Good hygiene still matters, but it is not the finish line. The larger goal is to make criminal service delivery less reliable, less profitable, and less scalable against your organization and your sector.
Thanks for listening. For more audio courses, daily newsletters, and more, please visit baremetalcyber.com.